Every once in a blue moon, we get to talk about cars that are eagle-loving, beard-having, PBR-drinking friends truly enjoy here on Fitment Industries. And trust me, we talk about them more if people didn't keep asking for an E46 video. It's coming.
Trust me.
Okay? You just gotta wean that one out for a little bit. Anyway, our muscle car having friends, like the 13 of them that we have, unfortunately don't always get the long end of the stick, and that's just not fair. Okay? Domestics deserve some love too. So today, we're gonna talk about one of them. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're gonna be talking about the car that has become one of the go-to cars for the holy shit that's fast in terms of overall performance. The car that has somehow just been one of the only vehicles to stay true to its original build design of what it is. I mean, heavy and powerful as hell, you know, that whole thing. Today, we're gonna be talking about the one, the only, the Dodge Charger. Jumping into this, welcome. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and if you haven't yet because of commitment issues, just didn't subscribe yet, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's not, but I would politely ask that you subscribe so you can make bang videos like this. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check out fitmentindustries.com, where we have everything from your work wheels to rotiforms to BC to AirQAir to airlift to everything in between, because that's just what we do. Anyway, let's get into it. Because of the good old Charger has existed for half a century, we're going to be focusing on the LX and LD platforms of the Charger, which are inherently the 6th generation and the 7th generation. Those would be the new boys, okay? The Dodge Charger is a current full-size sedan, but was introduced back all the way in 1964. That was based off the Dodge Coronet, if you want to be French. Now, we know it now as a big, hefty 707 horsepower car, but the Charger name had been used as a luxury coupe car. It had been used as a front-wheel drive hatchback at one point, and it's changed its interest kind of like most kids in college. After the 5th generation Charger, which was made from 1982 to 1987, Dodge decided to part ways with the Charger name for nearly 2 decades. Commitment issues, I suppose. Rising EPAs and decreasing interest and overall focus of the company had pushed the Dodge Charger away. Okay? They didn't want it. They didn't want any variant of it. They didn't want a hatch or a coupe or anything. But jumping ahead to 2006, the first generation of the revamped Charger lineup was reintroduced. Dubbed the LX, the Charger was produced from 2006 to 2010. Had a brand new design, style, and purpose in life. It was to replace the Intrepid and pretty much just destroy
everything.
All right, these cars would come with the Frankenstein of Fiat parts and technology. It ran on an all-wheel drive system that was based off of Mercedes-Benz's 4MATIC tech. It had torque on demand from Borg-Warner to help with fuel efficiency, and it had some good old traction bits, okay? It came with a 2.7 liter, a 3.5 liter, a 5.7 liter, or 6.1. Engines always bigger in America, all right? The partnership that Chrysler had with Daimler allowed them access to so much that allowed to actually make this Charger to happen. And overall, it was extremely successful. The Charger had a proper interior, at the time, a good engine, and a decent trans. Just in 2005, 45,000 units would be sold, which would nearly double to 114,000 in 2006. The only thing that many people were a little bit bummed about were the fact that these motors weren't overly peppy in the V6 option. Get a V8. And there wasn't a single manual option available. That one's true. Well, that, and it had also 2 little extra doors, and for the most part, it had a little bit of some mixed reviews. Dodge continued to push the muscle car mentality, though, by introducing various packages, such as the Super Beat, to help reinforce the brand's image as a muscle car from the past, which is what the whole overall aesthetic of this car tried to do. The platform did well enough to warrant a 7th generation, taking everything that they had learned from the previous one and turning it further into what the domestic automotive enthusiasts actually wanted, but still with 4 doors. The 7th generation came out in 2011 with new makeup, all right, new tech, and a very rich daddy behind the scenes that pretty much gave it everything it could possibly want. Okay, the 7th generation was an absolutely insane lineup with everything from your typical V6 to a Hellcat variant with 707 horsepower. 707 horsepower.
Stock.
I don't care how heavy that car is, okay? It's nuts, all right? It came with a massive infotainment screen. It had Uconnect, okay? It had heated and cooled seats. It had Wi-Fi, all right? SD card slots, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist. It had leather interior. It had rain sensing wipers. What is this, a BMW? Collision warnings. And even a few other bits, okay? You could say that Town & Country was doing hella well for Dodge to be pumping that kind of money into a car that used to cap out with options at $37,000 in the 6th gen, okay? Most people will know the 2015 facelift as a new generation, but it really actually wasn't. The facelift was just so significant that people legitimately thought it was a new version or a new generation of the car. And I'd say it probably was. The car began to take everything that made it good and just fine-tuned it with a new front end, new headlights, new taillights, more aggressive aero, shaved off the early 2000s look and really made it look proper with some bigger wheels. More scarier than a 6th gen cop car that's behind you on a Friday night. Those 6th gens were terrifying. Here's the thing though, the Dodge Charger began to feature the same love and attention that the new gen Mustang did in terms of like an automotive enthusiast. Some of these cars were predominantly for, life alert folks.
When I became deathly ill, I was able to summon an ambulance.
Not many people felt that they'd be able to jump into one because they weren't that modifiable or that they were not very tuner-ish. The last few years have proved that fact wrong, son.
Daddy?
Okay, trick question. We're done talking about the light history of the Charger because frankly, all you need to know is that Dodge continued to make it as often as possible and kept it as close to their good old heartstrings as they could for like half a century, okay? The most recent thing is the fact that they added some doors. That's the thing. We're actually here to talk about you wanting to own one of these beautiful pieces of American history. So you want a Dodge Charger. Well, set down your Busch Light and grab your favorite lawn chair because we're about to strap into this bad boy and talk a little about what it's like to own one. The newest generation Dodge Chargers are probably the best bang for your buck power when you're looking at a large sedan domestic here in the United States. Don't compare it to anything else, it's pretty dang good. Sure, you have other Camaros, Mustangs, and even the Corvette, but those are missing 2 doors. The main competition for this car died in 2010. It was called Pontiac. Playing my smallest violin. Rip to the G8 though, still one of my favorites. The Charger sits in a unique home where power, consistency, and just straight wheat bread expectations are pretty much met. Now, the 6th generation has dated a little harder than most, but they still offer plenty of spunk if you're looking to stay in a lower budget domestic car. And if you get it with the Hemi, scoot, baby. You have to have the Hemi for either gen, or if you got some extra dollars, get the Hellcat. Most Dodge Chargers running around owned by younger enthusiasts are on air, because that's what you're supposed to do with big cars, okay? Air. Ferrado wheels or Velgen rule the world for wheels, and tires seem to focus around the Netto NT555, Pirelli P0, or the Toyo Proxys ST. Due to size offerings. Stock bodies can get pretty wide with you getting nearly 11 inches wide on the newest gen, I think, and about 10.5 inches wide on the 6th gen. You can fit some big boys on there. And if you're looking to pick one up, it's important to know really what you're buying because these still are domestic sedan muscle cars. Even in the newest generation, the quality of parts aren't really meant to stay alive for too long. Most of the money, I would argue probably all the money, especially as you go all the way up to trim levels, is pretty much solely about the motor and the transmission. That's where the moolah was actually really spent, so you gotta be okay with that. Inside of the car, it's still just a Dodge, okay? My Jeep has the same infotainment system as an $85,000 Hellcat, so you can take that how you want. However, these cars are an absolute blast to drive, and the driving experience is insane. Big, heavy cars often get a negative connotation because they're heavy. But that's why they're actually pretty insane. That's why they have the insane horsepower numbers and torque, because if you throw an intake exhaust and a tune-on with your wheels, tires, and suspension from fitmentindustries.com, got them, you can pretty much be ready to fly away at any red light you could possibly want to. Hemi engines sound fantastic, they look pretty good, and they're fairly reliable. But because the cars are common, parts aren't that bad to snag or find either. You just have to be remembering that you're gonna be picking up a Dodge Charger and it's gonna be big, it's gonna be heavy, so you gotta do roasty burnouts. Getting a Dodge Charger as a car to modify is a bit different because it's outside the tuner mold. The cars are wide and big versus narrow and small. The car has 4 doors compared to the normal 2, and it's a domestic versus a tuner. But if you're looking for a car that tries to do it all and does it all fairly well without breaking a bank, the Charger might actually be right up your alley. Plus, we need more cars aired to the damn ground. The only thing that I would recommend is that if you're looking to get a Dodge Charger and you're thinking about actually owning one, you're gonna wanna drive all of the different trims because you may find that there's a trim specifically that kind of meets your needs the best. Hellcat has some awesome options, but there are some negatives to actually owning one of those things compared to a standard Hemi or maybe getting an SRT model. There's a lot of fantastic trim models out there for Dodge, and I honestly think that no matter where you are in life, Dodge probably made a trim for it. You just gotta be okay with people saying, oh, they're heavy. They're heavy. Yes, they're heavy. It's just how it is. Mercedes E63 is heavy, still fun. E55 AMG, still heavy, still fun. M5, heavy, still fun, all right? You can be a little bit thick and still have fun with the car, okay? Don't judge them. They do roasty burnouts and they're a ton of fun to drive. Anyway, let us know what you guys think of the Dodge Charger in the comment section below and if you would actually own one. And if you're looking for wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check out fitmentindustries.com where we really literally have like everything. And in the meantime, if you guys have a car that you'd like us to cover next in the future, be sure to drop it as a comment below. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later. Peace.